Today I'd like to take that excellent work that you've done over the last 2 days and shape it into a preliminary writing form. So what we have on the screen here are examples of your notes. I noticed I didn't write any page numbers down, but hopefully you wrote some page numbers down. I want to draw your attention to diction, imagery, anecdote, and statistics. What do all four of those have in common? Alex? Oh, sorry. Thought I saw your hand. Kale? It's the way in which he's doing it. It's the method. It's his writing device. It's his trick. It's his writing technique. It's the tool that he uses. Uses to do what, Kale? In this case, to make the reader feel something. So if somebody picked up this book and said, this book makes you feel afraid, I'd ask two questions. Afraid of what? And how does it do that? This book makes you feel excited. Excited about what? And how does it make you do that? Excited about football. How does it make you do that? Imagery. Okay, now I really understand the book. That's what I want you to do. And in order to do that, you need to follow this format. This is the literary analysis claim format that I brought to you briefly in semester 1, but this will form the backbone of all the writing assignments you will do for Friday Night Lights. If you can master this format, you can do a pretty good job with those writing assignments. Further, if you make mistakes with this format, it will seep through your writing. Your writing will be incomplete. It will drift from the point. You will not be able to integrate evidence. All sorts of problems. This claim should lead to one sentence. Four parts. All right, Taha, part number 1 is pretty easy. What is it? Yeah. Very good. For this unit, your author will always be H.G. Bissinger. Let's see. It's an S. That's an S with my smartboard making all sorts of crazy demon-possessed sort of movements. Chloe, what's my title? Always? Chloe, at times, I will ask you to write short pieces in which your title will not be Friday Night Lights. Can you imagine what other title I would want you to use? Even though we're still discussing this book. Dominic, help her out. The chapter name. So, Chloe and everybody else, if your focus is on the entire book, use Friday Night Lights. If your focus is only one length or the length of one chapter, then use the chapter title. Depends upon your writing. So for these short writings, you're probably using the title of the chapter because you're probably not focusing on something developed throughout the entire book. Something developed only in one chapter. Remember, Friday Night Lights, italicized, underlined if you're handwriting, chapter title, quoted. Do not flip those, please, and do not forget to format those properly. You've spent way too much time in class covering that particular rule for you to make mistakes with it now. Capitalization, capitalize all major words in both. What will go in the device section? Elise? Or? Or? Give me one more. No, that was an effect. Diction. Anybody remember the fourth one that we had printed on the board? Lindsay? Imagery. Are there more? Of course there are more. In fact, the list of writing techniques that a writer could use, the list of tools, of tricks, is long. You know a lot of them. Metaphors, similes, dialogues, quotations, research. we'll talk about those, but the list is rather long. Kale. You could. However, the second you double up on something like this, so if you use two devices, you are now talking about multi-paragraph development. It's a little bit more difficult to manage. You need to make sure that you're linking those two devices in some way. Explain to me why they would be in the same paper, for instance. And I'll give you a reason why they might be in the same paper. What is the effect? And I'll give you a hint. You only have 3 basic effects. Okay, emotion is one effect. And Elise, if you're dealing with emotion, what level of rhetorical analysis are you dealing with? Fancy rhetoric words, the Greek ones. That's right. So your effect could be a pathos effect. It could be emotion. Or it could be what, Evan? That's right. It could be a point. You're trying to convince of a fact. Trying to prove a fact. And there you've got your logos. What's the third possible effect? Creating some sort of identity of the speaker. When I stop and emphasize something, that means that I've read many pieces of student writing before that make this mistake. And I'll probably read some that will make this mistake again, but I would like you not to do this. So make sure you write this down in your notes. Have those notes next to you when you write something. Your 3 claims, pathos, logos, ethos, are your effects. But you don't use these words in your claim. They're implied. What did I tell you to use if you're dealing with a pathos analysis? What must you identify? Nate? That's the word that comes into the claim, is the emotion. Don't say develops pathos, because I'll look at you and say, okay, which emotion is that person developing? If you say develops fear, that's really clear. Fear is a very clear emotion. So if you're dealing with pathos, you're dealing with emotion. If you're dealing with logos, tell me what fact he or she is trying to prove. If you're dealing with ethos, what part of his identity is he developing? What part of his character? His fairness, his personal prejudice, his expert background. We'll deal with ethos and logos a little bit later. Today we're focusing on the simple one, pathos. This is your formula. You follow this formula, you'll write a topic sentence that'll be remarkably clear and really insightful too. Which one do you want to deal with? You get a choice on which one you want to focus on. You have 4. You've got the imagery of the Bon Jovi moment with Jared McDougall. You've got the diction connected to developing sympathy for Booby Miles. You've got the anecdote or the stats, which help develop fear and anger toward Odessa. Anybody want to tell me which one we're using as our model? Anybody like one of those more than the others? No? Okay. I'll pick one. You want to do diction? Good. Today we'll be talking about Friday Night Lights because you may be dealing with more than one chapter. You may be dealing with the prologue and Odessa. I will allow you to pull examples from either of those. Your device is diction, what's the definition of diction? Come on, folks. The author's word choice. Why would the author choose one word over another word? What does the word choice do? Those are diction issues. What did we decide the diction is doing in this case? Alex? That's true, but what's the effect that we were looking at? We were calling Booby Miles expendable property. What does that help? What emotion does that develop? Very good. The sympathy There's your formula. Use that as your worksheet. Here's how you write the sentence. I'm going to model this for you. I want you all writing the sentence down because this sentence will be the beginning of an activity for you. That's it. A formula for writing a good analysis claim. This will be it. In, give me your title, comma, give me your author, tell me what he uses, tell me what the purpose is. What's the effect? In Friday Night Lights, Bissinger uses diction to develop sympathy for Booby Miles. Then your paragraph is just a matter of providing examples, providing details that support that. But what I want you doing today is seeing how this particular claim can help you understand all those details that are going on in the first couple chapters, help you weed through them, help you analyze them. That means take certain parts apart. Now it's time for a group activity.